Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're ready to start. Nice to meet you. I'm glad to be here this afternoon. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sabrina from Sabytel Technologies. I'm VP Finance and Corporate Transformation. In a nutshell, Sabytel is a cybersecurity and data privacy company with our brand new division, which is S-Cloud9, who is exploring a secure cloud. This afternoon, actually, I have the pleasure to moderate this roundtable on a key topic, which is this battle, AI against AI. How do we outsmart machine-driven cyber attacks? In brief, we all know AI is reshaping completely our cybersecurity landscape. We have, on one hand, the attackers that are leveraging AI to execute some massive and ever-evolving attacks. And on the other hand, we have the defenders, which are deploying AI-driven tools to make sure that they always have one step ahead of the attackers. This is a really interesting topic, so we decided to break it in 4 to make sure that we cover it all. We'll start by exploring some overall questions about this AI versus AI battle. Then we'll jump on the practical way of how it is being used by either attackers or defenders. We'll make sure to go on both sides. Then we'll address the risk and challenges of this battle, and we'll make sure to cover what comes next and what's the future ahead of us with this AI against AI battle. So before we share those insights, I'll let the panelists introduce themselves. Tim, the floor is yours.
My turn. Glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Tim Olswezski. I'm a head of AI at Speednet. I work with banks and financial institutions mostly, providing them AI governance frameworks and tools. I was previously working for Intel for 8 years as AI solution architect. You can probably tell by my R, despite I'm not a US-based citizen, I'm Polish.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim. I'm Adrian Resag. So my expertise is in IT GRC, and I've helped many different organizations kind of get up to speed for ISO 27001 for all the different ISO certifications. And I'm also academic director of OSEG, with around 150,000 members around the world. We help organizations achieve GRC. Now, you might not know OSEG, but if you've ever heard of the acronym GRC, it's because of them. And so I've been helping them create different certifications. I've also helped PCB create some of the skills and other things. And my background has always been to help organizations achieve the digital trust that they're looking for.
Thank you, Adrian. I'm Soenil Soebedar from the Netherlands. 33 years I'm been working in the IT field. Last 22 years my own company is Soebit Cybersecurity, and more than 12 years I'm working as a contractor, freelancer. Currently I'm working on assignment for more than 3 years for the Ministry of Defense in the Netherlands on cryptography and PKI solutions. I'm PCB partner and also PCB trainer. Recently joined as a partner and trainer. Speak several languages, but also hold 6 PCB technical certifications. So, quick short about me.
Thank you for the introduction. Now let's break the ice with the first question. So, Soenil, given your expertise, how do you feel AI is used by attackers to enhance cyber attacks?
Yeah, thank you. You will see a movement with, and in a lot of sessions we already saw some of the improvement from malware detection or creating the malware based on AI. AI will, and especially attackers are able to use it where they make use of it. They try to also get more from our human part, our trust part, they want to be a part of it. And based on that, they are able to make use of it. So all the phishing campaign, but also the phishing mails, what we are able to see are so good that even we as cybersecurity experts are considering, is it real or not, or could be real without any typos and those items, how a normal human or being human who is normally using those kind of phishing mail received, they should be able to click on it, or there shouldn't be any reason why you shouldn't be able to click on it.
I think we need to understand that nowadays, for cybersecurity, there's no difference from AI. Nearly all cybersecurity attacks are at least going to use some sort of technology behind it that's going to be using AI. It is, and it has just spread so extremely quickly. And so we're looking at this topic here as kind of, a defense perspective, but we really need to understand that our attackers, they've definitely adopted these technologies at a pace which is maybe much quicker than we can do as defense.
Thank you for this explanation. So we've discussed more about the attacker side, but can we jump in on the defensive side? Adrian, I would like to hear about it more. Where do you see AI making the biggest impact in enhancing cybersecurity?
So absolutely, since our attackers are using basically these AI tools for their attacks, we need to see basically the characteristics of AI that are going to help us for our defense. And my problem with AI is that, it's so spoken about that people can't really grasp its real characteristics. So I'm going to try to explain it like you're all 5 years old, okay? Even though we have a lot of experts here. My point is we really need to look at the characteristic of what AI is good at. So what AI is good at is pattern recognition, for one. It is really good at understanding when something is slightly different from something else, and so it will, see how we can use that slight difference to know whether something is happening. So one of the points is threat detection. Let's start at the beginning, kind of our flow here. On threat detection, we are going to use this characteristic of pattern recognition with AI, with our AI tools, to see what behavior is slightly different than what we're used to in, normal behavior of our, of our networks, of our users, and of our different, ways of interacting. We, of course, understand our user behavior on a normal basis. Now, AI has been also trained on the inverse, which is the attacks. And here, it's going to learn with time. This is the machine learning capabilities, where since it's seen attacks, maybe on the other side of the planet, but, it has started to understand this is a behavior that is indicative of something that could be, nefarious. Of course, the other part is that it's going to be continuously learning, and this is the big part. What it might have learned in one part of the world, it's going to use in our other part of the world. And this is our continuous improvement. So this is the capability of AI, not to, depend on someone, writing some more code. It's going to be a lot quicker, and it's going to learn directly. Another part is incident response. So here, we're directly dealing with something. So we understand the characteristics of an AI system, and let me just break it down to kind of data analysis, okay? So it's good at kind of, summarizing data, but that's useful because it's going to take little parts from all of what it's learned and bring them together. It's going to also help analyze that data in a way that us humans would just take way too long to do. It can predict what might happen. That's, the predictive part. And finally, the prescriptive. An AI can do something that takes humans too much time, which is to give either decision options for our humans or directly take the decisions. And when we're dealing with cyber attacks, we do not have the time to make decisions. Think about, say, trading algorithms and something that would happen to a financial market. Do you think that people have the time to actually react on certain things? You can have action plans, but your AI is going to be quicker than us humans.
Thank you, Adrian. Tim, we've explored attacker, defender. In your opinion, do you feel like there's one side that has the upper hand?
Definitely attackers have the upper hand. If you think about the global AI adoption, most of the company, if I were ask you, how many of you have in your organization something which is called a security operational center, an SOC? How many of you? That's less than half. How many of you have dedicated teams responsible for, let's say, infrastructure, signal, incident identification? Like, do you have a dedicated team that does these things? Okay, less than a half. So if you take a look at the problem which is associated with global AI adoption, you will end up with the same conclusion as the National Cybersecurity Center, the UK's cybersecurity, National Cybersecurity Center, that done a great analysis last year. You can read it on their official website, where they say that by 2027, the gap between companies that have built their competencies around AI, so they have trained teams of people that understand how to use AI, they have implemented somehow some systems that work for these people that are trained to use AI, and these people can be a part of the cybersecurity team or the R&D team, that the SecOps, for instance, if you have an SOC integrated in your within your organization, and these companies usually are the enterprise grade. But if you do not have that, the attackers have the upper hand because they already use it. Right? It's quite simple. There is no such thing today still as AI's writing 0 days, for instance. It's still, the attackers have the upper hand because they learn very quickly. If you have somebody that wants to take advantage of your lack of security, they have the motivation to do so. And if they know that you lack the stuff that is AI literate, you don't have a proper GRC system, you don't have an SOC integrated, you don't have people that understand how AI works and how to use AI, they will take that as an advantage. So they understand. So the gap is caused by the adoption rate. So the attackers have clear upper hand. In enterprise grade companies, definitely defenders, and statistics show that very clearly, that, for instance, Google using their phishing or spam filters already based on AI, they prevent 99.9% of potential phishing or scam attempts. There are much more studies being done with respect to that. And for enterprise grade, for those companies that are AI literate, the defense side is winning, but the most of the world is still kind of losing to the attackers.
Thank you, Tim, for those insights. Now, if we jump in on the more practical side of it, real world, Soenil, do you have any example of AI-driven attacks?
Yes, but first let me share some info about some numbers, because most of the CISO are interested more in numbers. So more than 95% reports has been mentioned about multi-channel attack. So more about it I will discuss in the sample one. 79% of organizations for this year already report attacks related to AI in combination with cyber attacks. Those informations can be found on aware security channels you are able to see. So on a sample, recent sample in March this year in London, a CEO that got a WhatsApp message with just a friendly, normal approach from a company or a trusted partner, or to become a trusted partner, without any typos, well written, very professional message, to have a Teams meeting to align and discuss more details, how to become a partner and how these should be able to proceed. The meeting was invited. The attacker start the conversation further on Teams or WhatsApp, still on a friendly way. So until now, nothing wrong happened, it looked like. After that call, they got a phone call with a voice message from a colleague of the CEO. So they pick up the phone and they listen, say, okay, this is my colleague, so it should be fine. And then actually the problems start. So they got already all the sensitive information. They leaked the sensitive information. The funds of that company has been transferred, and the company was compromised. So in a simple, easy, normal way, where you should be able to say, and especially as a CEO, you don't click on any link or do any part what shouldn't be done. So that is one of the part where they are able to move. So those are the multi-channel way of attacks. So if you mention in this story, you will see they got an email. The Teams invite will be on an email. On social media, they have already found the colleagues of the CEO, of other persons. So they make use of voice, on deepfake. We saw also in earlier sessions about it. And they mimic the communication. So based on that, they was able to compromise. So, over to you.
I think Soenil is absolutely right. I think one point he's really insisting on is always going to be our user behavior, our human interactions that are going to be our biggest problem. But the thing with AI is that all of this is new to a lot of people. We don't know the threat scenarios yet. And okay, maybe we do as CISOs. But do you think the person in finance knows? Do you think the person in operations knows? And yet, these new AI-enhanced behaviors are completely unknown, and so they're new threats. People don't know how to react to them, and so can fall victim precisely because, well, the attackers are smarter than your person in finance when it comes to AI.
Adoption, again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We just talked about a real-world cyber attack, but Adrian, can you please tell us how our organization could implement AI without creating over-reliance or any blind spot?
Okay, so the good part is that any properly functioning IT department, well, let's say information security department, your CISO, should already have a lot of the tools that you'd expect, and these tools, have been updating themselves with new AI capabilities. So that's the good part. The unexpected part is that there are also kind of new, I'm going to say not completely new things, new capabilities of AI that should now be integrated into your defense. So when you're kind of looking at, the different softwares you're going to invest in, the good thing is probably a lot of the softwares you already are investing in have been adopting AI capabilities. And so really think about those extra things. So again, what is AI good at that, our IT wasn't good at before? pattern recognition. So this is good at, say, threat detection. What is AI better at? Well, behavior analysis. And I'm not going to say this is super new stuff. I mean, we've been seeing these capabilities a lot earlier than the hype we saw recently. But they've gotten better, for sure. And so think about these new capabilities, like the ones I just said, and think about what you should kind of add generally as a software or as a capability. Don't necessarily think that you need to rebuild a well-built house.
Thank you, Adrian. We've discussed about successful AI cyber attacks, but can we, on the other hand, discuss about any AI defense case where it was successful? Tim, I would like to hear about you.
Well, there are so many examples, and it all depends on the market area, because there are some companies like in financial sector that you've got a very big problem to solve when it comes to potential attacks. If you're not dealing with critical infrastructure, the problem is a little bit smaller. It still exists. So in financial sector, for instance, your fraud detection problem is kind of big. Visa and MasterCard are the absolute leaders. Visa has implemented already an AI intelligence, let's call it that way, that helps them to prevent fraud. Like they thanks to AI, they can prevent. They've been reporting about $40+ billion in fraud attempts being stopped thanks to AI. MasterCard has rolled out their new something intelligence process, or that's their AI model that helps them to prevent fraud. They've been reporting last year 20% of increase in fraud detection thanks to AI. That's something quite significant. If you take a look at the other examples like Google, for example, Google Chrome, the newest version, it has already built in phishing and fraud or authentication, jailbreak attempt analyzer, or the plugin that allows you to decrease the amount of phishing attempts, for example, on malicious websites that you're visiting. But the critical infrastructure is the point which is the most vital, and in financial sector that's one thing. But we've been working with one of the big banks in Germany for almost a year on a system that translates the regulatory requirements, let's say NIS2 or AI Act requirements, onto executable rules. And Adrian, just you mentioned defense attempts not to overstimulate the IT infrastructure, right? And the biggest problem in such situations where you have the critical infrastructure or very complex IT infrastructure, you don't want an associated additional plugins everywhere, like 10 or 20 different AI engines that co-work with some of the parts of your infrastructure already. You want everything to be embedded in. And that's something that we've been working on since 2014, where you're looking for an easiest way of using very small models that create rules, that understand patterns and create executable, very lightweight rules. For instance, for your payment gateway, that understands that it can take that rule, it can compile it and execute in milliseconds. That's I think that's the biggest challenge nowadays. Adrian, you want to?
Absolutely. And just for the defense team never gets enough praise. How are you supposed to congratulate someone for the risk that never happened, that no one ever heard about? They never get enough praise.
Thank you for those valuable insights. I think it's common knowledge that AI is very powerful, but it comes with risk and challenges. And I would like to know, on your point of view, Adrian, how do you see are the biggest risks for a company to adopt AI too quickly or without the proper governance in the intern?
Okay, so absolutely, governance is supposed to be the starting point. So you can obviously have a team, very motivated in AI, but if they don't really have the right structure around it, okay, let's look at ISO 27001, ISO 42001. I mean, people are just like, why are we having these things? Well, it is to provide a governance, risk, and compliance framework around everything. It is, for instance, to make sure that you have your leadership on board. Okay, if you don't have your leadership on board, how are your AI initiatives supposed to be successful? If you don't have your budgets in place, if you don't have defined roles. What I really hate is the emphasis on ISO 42001. That's just about creating policies, right? No. Policies, as an auditor, I put that low risk generally. I want to make sure that there's an understanding of the risks because we genuinely try to do a business impact analysis. That's part of our governance, risk and compliance framework. We're actually trying to understand the different parts. Then we go, from those risks, what is the cheapest solution that is going to be the most effective to actually help us cover those risks. And what is risk, by the way? It simply means we're going to achieve our objectives. And here's the thing. You might think risk is, our network is penetrated by a group of hackers. Okay, yeah, sure. That's a risk. But I mean, that's not the objective of a finance department. A finance department just wants to, create reporting, get financial reporting out. So what is it? Objectives? Well, it's those, financial reporting, all of the things. And it has risks, let's say from cybersecurity, which could mean that it would be more difficult to finally produce that little financial report. They can't use their computers. And so when we have a framework of trying to understand, our objectives, all the things that could make it more difficult for us to achieve our objectives, and that's called a risk, and then finally find appropriate responses. It means the right action on, the exact thing you need to cover that thing, and that's usually not a policy or procedure. That's a kind of action you're going to take in the future. Maybe it's a software. Usually it's a human action that someone's going to be taking to make sure you don't have that problem. And my whole point about governance is it's all the things that are going to make it more possible for that. And after, those little things, you're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to have your management review, your continuous updating, your operational review, and your management having some accountability so that everything improves and we get better and better and better. And all of that are the different parts of GRC.
And where's the AI in all of that? Because I'm going to argue with you, because you say that policies are less relevant than risks. But how do you translate an executable on the risk without a proper policy?
You absolutely need a policy. So let's just do ISO 42001. Absolutely, you need an AI policy. It doesn't mean you have a single policy over AI. It means all of your different policies in the organization are going to now look at the new risk landscape of AI, right? For instance, your finance function is going to have a new purchasing policy, which means that, well, you're going to have to, have a better procedure for making sure that the person in finance is who they claim they are, and you can't just trust, a video call or something like that because it could be a deep fake. And so you're going to have a policy for AI. It's going to have a network of other policies around the company that are going to be updated for that policy and for the new AI risk landscape.
Thank you, Adrian. We're talking about policies, procedure, but Tim, I would like to hear from you. How do you think we can address this black box problem, which means that the defenders don't fully understand how their AI system makes their decision?
Okay, black box theory. It's a question that everyone's trying to respond to from time to time. On every conference, there is a person that talks about the AI black box and that we don't really understand it. The truth is, we don't really need to understand it. That's the first thing, because from the perspective of risk management and compliance, you don't need to understand what happens in fully connected layer of the neural network, and you don't. So that's the black box that we talk about. Everything apart from that is absolutely clear. We have frameworks like LangGraph, like LangChain, used for creating chatbots, for instance. You have the full traceability of AI model decisions today that you can execute clearly. And that's one of the ways of creating a policy for the company, that if you use an LLM model, if you use a model that is well described and you have access to information what the model has in terms of performance, traceability, if it's, maybe you don't always have an access to an architecture information, but you have the model card. You know what it does and what it doesn't. You understand an input, the output, you understand what comes into the model, you understand what comes out of the model, and everything else is unnecessary from the perspective of understanding the threat. Because if you understand how the model translates an input to an output and what's the decision path based on the output of the model. So if you understand that you get a response XYZ with data XYZ every single time, and the performance is quite stable, right? Because data instability is another topic. But let's say you've got a model which is stable, so all the answers have quite a good faithfulness. The only thing that you have to ensure is how the process of the decision based on the output looks like. And you got to have a policy that is compliant with AI Act, ISO 42001, and so on. And off you go. That's how you address the black box. Yeah.
Yeah. Better explainability and transparency over the inputs, the transformation, and the outputs. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you to both of you. We've discussed about cyber attacks, but I would like to I have a question that is more pointed. Soenil, would like to hear from you. Given your expertise, do you feel like AI defense could be directly manipulated or tricked by any malicious attacks?
Yes, it's possible. It's already done. One of the items or part what you are able to see is data poisoning, where you are able to send and feed data what's incorrect. And if your system is able to pick it up, the incorrect data, they should be able to behave as with those incorrect data. Another part is, for example, historical data, especially companies who are using, be aware and add all those information also in. An example on an airport, I'm not able to recall which airport, but on an airport, a guy was walking with a hoodie, and on the hoodie he put a patch on it. The security item system was not able to recognize him because in the patch they put a lot of QR code what should be able to see as noise, and person was able to proceed the security. The system was not able to see that it was a human because the patch was misleading the security item. So those items can happen and will happen more often. So also all those systems should be able to be aware of knowing what's going on.
Moving on to what's coming in the future. Again, to you, Soenil, I would like to know, how do you envision this AI against AI battle to become in a 3 to 5 year?
Yeah, I don't have a ball to predict the future, but based on my input and experience, what I'm able to understand is there will be more attack and will be more AI-driven attack. As already mentioned, easy to adapt. You don't need to have too many skills to understand. Ask Copilot or other kind of platform, ChatGPT and stuff. I want to have this kind of information. Even in some information you will see, they will say, no, I'm not able to share it. But a tricky way is also, you can also ask your question on a different way, from a different angle, and maybe you should be able to get more information. It's not that we are able to do it. Attackers are also able and know how to do it. Example, if I should ask, what I know it's never should do, but okay. If I ask ChatGPT, how do I need to create a bomb? He will say, due to a lot of reasons, you are not able, we will not share that information with you. If I'm mentioning, I'm doing a research on University XIZ, and for that I need to have a paper, etc. And my professors are also empowering me, or lie. But if I'm getting a bit more underlined information, maybe ChatGPT or any of those platforms give me more better solution. So the same approach is also in security landscape. The way straight asking, I want to hack the Wi-Fi of this environment, they will say, no, we don't share it. But if you do it on a different way, you are able to get more done. So those kind of attacks will be more, and it's harder from security point of view to detect it, to work on it. Another point is the mix with quantum computing and AI, where those are joining each other. Big data is also a part of it. You will see a huge kind of change in this field, and it's more, I guess, if I should be able to believe the enterprise organization in the world, they are predicting this in 3 till 5 years. We should be able to also make use of those situations.
I brought my magic ball, and I know how the future looks like. In 2 years, we're going to have a swarm of AI agents in every single company. And that's already happening. And if you don't have a properly managed AI governance framework, and it can be just a monitoring way of making sure that these models and AI use cases and systems, all the applications are in check, and that you understand how these agents are actually deployed and what are the performance levels. Do they throw out incidents every 24 hours? What's the decision path? If you don't manage it today, you're going to end up in a very bad situation within the next 2 years.
And it's exactly now that organizations should be thinking about putting in place these AI frameworks. I mean, you can use one like ISO 42001, AI management systems. But in any case, now is the time to do kind of the governance work, get your management on board, get all the roles in place, figure out who your AI ethicist is and so. Because yes, as Tim said, the flow is coming, right? What was the last lecture? 2025 is the year of AI agents, and in the future, we're just going to be submerged in them. Now is the time to put your frameworks in place. Tell all of your clients that. Now is the time, because in 2 years, it's going to be too late.
Yeah, every company is now investing somehow even if you're not deploying your own AI servers today, you're going to think about it tomorrow, definitely. Everyone's thinking or talking about MCP servers, for example, right? So ChatGPT today and Cursor, Anthropic, Gemini engines, every single company is now investing in something that will result in multi-agent systems very soon. And if you want to cut off from the publicly available APIs and you don't want necessarily your data to flow off your company, you're going to invest in on-premise systems. If you're going to invest in on-premise systems, you're going to end up with an MCP server. If you don't have a right way to govern your MCP server using, for instance, ISO 42001, that's going to be a problem.
Thank you, Tim. Adrian, coming back to you, do you feel that there are some specific skills that cybersecurity professionals should have?
Okay, thank you, Sabrina. So absolutely. I think, so yes, absolutely cybersecurity, but I think we underestimate how many new jobs AI is also creating when we're thinking, oh, AI is taking jobs. Yes, but it's also creating a huge number of new jobs. Okay, you need your AI operations manager, you need your data scientists, you need your different people, AI compliance, AI risk management, you need people to understand the different skills, and then again, you need your people, let's look at cybersecurity, to understand AI. And so what do they need to know? Well, I think the big thing is, I always try to bring it back to the basics. They need to understand why AI is different from a simple IT system, right? And why is it different? Why do we have, say, ethical risks to individuals, to persons, to groups, to society from AI that we didn't used to see in simple IT landscape before? Well, that's because we have new kinds of risks that our blue team needs to know about. Things like, bias, things, and when I talk about this, it can be, say, unfair to a group. Well, now we have our blue team in information security who needs to care that our systems are not going to harm any of our customer groups, any people in society. You have your HR department using, say, AI tools for candidate selection. What happens if the tool they are using is, let's say, not selecting people from a certain area code? Okay? And let me just put that's the least controversial example I could have found. But I mean, that's already a kind of bias that they need to be aware of. And so you're absolutely going to need new skills from the people in cybersecurity. And the whole point with AI is, since it has new kinds of risks, since it has new kinds of harm to groups, to societies, to individuals, not just in the high-risk categories, then we absolutely need to train our people so that they're all ready.
Can I add one thing? Because I liked your reference to why a classic IT infrastructure is different from an AI enhanced. And a simple reason is that AI is non-deterministic. So you have a completely different way of maintaining these systems and infrastructures. If you have an AI-based system, the cycle looks like this. You have the pre-production phase where you deploy things, you test things, and then you put it into production. Now, it means that you have to test it. Most of the companies still test the same way as they would test a classical IT infrastructure, meaning that there is a quality assurance person, meaning a tester, that manually creates testing scenarios, trying to predict what the model would do in certain situations, which is mind-blowing. Just thinking about, if you have a proper adoption in your company, that person should do that in an automated way. You cannot predict every single scenario of behavior of a non-deterministic thing, because it can hallucinate, it can be biased, it can, there might be a data drift because of the model poisoning, for instance, tomorrow. And this is kind of a situation which you cannot really predict. Now, that testing scenario has to be executed. It has to be packaged. The results of these tests have to be pushed to data science team that has to retrain the model or look down at the retrieval augmented generation system and say, okay, this is the piece of the data that we are missing in the database, or there is a malfunctioning somewhere. You have to trace down the problem, right? And the whole cycle repeats on and on and on and on. If you leave the AI-based system untested for a quarter, it's gonna go somewhere, yeah, and it's gonna malfunction. And if you do the meta-analysis of all the errors, including hallucinations, drifts, data breaches, like sensitive information, disclosure attempts, faithfulness drifts, all of the stuff that models can do, you'll end up with a number of 62.3% of probability that one of these things will happen if you do not fine-tune your system. And that's the biggest challenge from the perspective of hiring appropriate people. If you still have a quality assurance team that does things manually, if you do not put into the work the AI literacy, so if you do not train new competencies of the people that should be doing things automatically, not manually anymore, that's going to cost you.
A software engineer enters into a bar. He orders 1 cocktail. He orders 10 beers. He orders -3 beers. He orders X beers. He orders 1 over the power of 255 beers. Nothing happens. A customer enters into the same bar. The bar explodes. That's testing.
Thank you for this. It surprised me, so hopefully it surprises all of us. So
don't worry, I understood it. It's really funny.
Final question for you. I know we covered it all a little bit, but if you had one final piece of advice for organization to prepare for those AI-powered cyber attacks, what would it be? Adrian, you can start.
No, I'll pass to Soenil.
Soenil, go ahead.
That's fine. Smart AI. We need to have a smarter AI. Example, if we want to fight against fire, we will not do that with fire or oil. We need to have water to be sure that we are able to. Same apply here. If we want to fight against AI, we need to have smarter AI. So those adversarial and defense part are a very important item what we need to consider. And just to add a small part on the point of Tim, indeed, quality testing is one point, but also from a traditional IT point of view, the testing part has been done. AI part is also a part what need to be added. Most of the quality assurance guys or persons are not adding those AI on it. From the attacker's point of view, you will see that attackers are already using AI in the attack techniques. They are also using the development, testing, acceptance, production environment. They are using this also with millions of testing, what the current situation the companies are still not doing. So it's also the way how they reach out and how they make progress. The organization should be also able to work on those levels.
Absolutely agree with you. I think the final point is absolutely our attackers are using these AI tools, these new capabilities, which means that their attacks are adapting at, well, near lightning speed. They're testing the different capabilities of our defenses in an extremely quick manner, and so our defenses need to get stronger. We can't be simply better than our competition anymore, because we're also seeing that AI is allowing our attackers to just attack everyone. There's no more, let's attack the most vulnerable company anymore. The new paradigm is, let's just attack everyone with our automated AI systems that are going to adapt to any network that we see. And wherever, the attack is successful is, well, where they're going to get in. And so that's the new paradigm. As a blue team, we need to adapt to that.
I'm going to say something very practical. If you are responsible somehow in your organization for the decision making, just make sure that 2026 budget includes a lot of education. That's a starting point. Just make sure to put that significant number for training people into your budget Excel. That's point number one. Point number two, be a little bit less skeptical. That's thing that I did last year. I was a little bit too skeptical with respect to things that we could automate in our organization, and now some unexpected people happened in my company that had some ideas. And I was very skeptical about those, but it turned out that the risk that we took in automating certain things, and I'm talking about very simple thing, which is associated with sales. But that thing was associated with taking some sensitive data, doing something with it, and then allowing the salespeople to use AI automated tools to provide offerings based on very sensitive data. And I was skeptical about it. Today, we are saving millions of euros per year because the person was stubborn enough to convince me that this is a good idea. So be a little bit less skeptical and invest in people. Invest in innovative people that understand the weight of the transformation that is happening today. And I would say this is the most practical thing that I can say. The rest, you're the expert. So I'm not going to be trying to be more smarter than you.
Thank you for those valuable insights. Thank you to the three of you. I would like now to open the floor if any of you have questions for our experts. Go ahead.
First, I want really to thank you, and it's not about being polite. There has been a very good conference this week, but honestly, this roundtable, for me, the way you organized it, the experience you shared has been, for me, the best of the week, very honestly. So I want to thank you, because
thank you.
That was great, very honestly. Second, I would like to jump on something you both said. You said we don't fight fire with fire. And you said about finance, they don't care about hacking a network. Just want to share quickly an experience I had. I was called on a customer, which was in a period for a European tender, a huge one, where you've got absolute lows, date of submission, and so on. Suddenly, they got a lot of requests to the finance from customers, providers having problems, blah, 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 blah. It turned out their company was not able to answer. And someone from finance and legal, being finance and legal, had a smart human idea to say, you know what, let's describe the scenario, let's put it in AI and ask what it could be, and multiple AIs. And they got the answer, this is probably an attack of this type. In fact, it was probably a competitor, sorry, that's real life. paying someone to attack them to prevent entering. They submitted that to the public ministry, and the ministry suspended the call for tender. And they now have a chance that there is a new tender. So what I want to jump on is the fact you said AI against AI, but you've got to keep human in the middle. And as you said, it's about training people about what is possible, even what we don't believe on. And that is a real case. But without the human in the middle to think about, oh, I could use the AI another way to prove things, they would just lose the business. And I think that's what I took from your sharing.
Thank you. That's a very good reference, actually, to yesterday's Nathalie's speech about the implementation of ISO 42001, when she underlined the fact that in most AI governance framework deployments, people tend to bring in technical people only. And we think about algorithms and scripts and all of that stuff, and we forget about people that link things between and think of the process, and we neglect some of the part of someone's innovative, creative way of thinking of how to use stuff instead of, going deep. And that's why you invest in people.
The AI should never be the one held accountable. It's always supposed to be someone. We're also, obviously, with all of our bad examples around there, people are starting to realize, oh, wait, I can't trust this tool yet. I think, with time, AI is going to get better. We should prudently learn how much we can trust AI, but there should always be a human behind the scenes who really understands the process, thus the teaching part that Tim was insisting on, and I should too. We absolutely need to increase our teaching budget to have not just a human behind there, but a human who really understands how this works.
I can add on it. Indeed, I guess AI should be our buddy. We should be able to trust on it and make use of it. Just in your situation, that should be a way to confirm what you want to do, or is it a correct way? Especially if you're not into this field or any other options are not available. I say maybe we follow our procedure, our guidelines, our way, how we normally do. What should be the options? So indeed, the human should be able to be and use AI to support your decisions on it. And couldn't be what both have already mentioned, that AI will take the decision how to proceed on it. Just to add.
I can add one more thing, because I want you to leave with something practical from this panel. What we did in our organization, because when we think of training people, you think, okay, I have so many courses and things to pick from and across the internet and universities and so on. What we did is we mapped out the most critical groups in our company that we would like them to think of some automations. Now we've picked for them that we mapped to their competencies 2 best courses that we could find across the internet, and we just reserved the budget for it, right? So that's an easiest way you can start from.
And for everyone else, there should at least be AI awareness training.
Foundation.
A foundation, yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi. This is my first time attending the conference, and I'm from Mongolia. First time in Europe too. My question is about AI detecting AI. Have you had experiences, or do you know any use cases of AI detecting other AI and then maybe defending or attacking based on that?
Yeah, I know that a lot of vendors are using, especially endpoint protection vendors in the globe are already using AI as a part of it. The other side, the attackers part is also using. What they are able to do is they create their own malware. Those malware will feed into those endpoint protection, but they made it in such kind of natural way that they are not able to detect. They will put it and kind of implement it and leave it. When they should be able to learn and get all the information, they should be able to make use of it, kind of attack. That's actually the traditional way of how malware in a lot of organizations already working. But now they get also the information from the network or the environment to learn from it. They are also using this kind of approach to test their own malware, what they have in their own AI systems. So the approach that we are relying that attackers is not doing, they are sleeping on only the government and organizations is working with a lot of AI is not an fact. So they are already also working in a lot of approach.
There is a certain way, for example, that if you're less experienced hacker and you are trying to create an agent that creates prompt injection scripts, it turns out that an AI will do such a script and produce these prompts that are injected in a certain way. So there are some characteristics that you can just recognize and prevent if you have an appropriate way to monitor the traffic.
Yeah, just in the way that, after having read so many things generated by ChatGPT, you kind of feel the way that it's generally written in ChatGPT. It's going to be the same thing for any threat detection system. So say you're using Darktrace or something like that. It's going to feel those markers of AI. Or at least it's going to see that it's not what is generally human behavior, even though obviously our AI is trying to mimic human behavior. There's still ways of finding differences.
Yeah, behavior is one thing, but the other thing is is data normalization. If you forget that the output that you get from your prompt injection bot is in Markdown format, and you forget to normalize it to more human way, that's going to be detected immediately, right? And that's the first right on the edge example I can give you.
Thank you. Any other question? Go ahead.
Thank you very much for the insightful presentation. It's not my first time that I'm attending some kind of conference or seminar about AI. I always go with a very confused sentiment. It's a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, it's a lot of doubts. We always have this kind of mitigated sentiment. My question is how to find the right balance between using AI, of course, profiting from all these capabilities, all these opportunities that we can have, and of course, mitigating risks and kind of avoiding the bad side of AI. Let's frame it.
Don't look for any balance. Don't look for the balance.
Okay.
It's way too soon. We sorry for just cutting in, but I'm hearing this constantly. Let's find a way to find the right balance between how to use and the risk and blah blah blah. It's way too soon. Everyone is in the green field. No one knows how to properly implement things. If we do not ourselves to innovate and we don't take the risk, we end up in a gray zone of the market and we lose. So it's not the time to look for the balance. It's time to use it. Full stop. In a proper way, of course, right? So that's why you need, for instance, ISO 42000, not to send naked pictures, for instance, right, to a company chatbot and stuff like that. But if you use it in a responsible way, just use it as much as you can.
Thank you. I think this closes our roundtable. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.